If you've been to public school within the last decade, you know what Diary of a Wimpy Kid is. And honestly, it's for good reason. Diary of a Wimpy Kid is legitimately a pretty good series. This is the Diary of a Wimpy Kid iceberg. I know. If you clicked on this video, you probably already know how an iceberg chart works, but just in case, the higher entries on the iceberg are supposed to be pretty well-known pieces of information relating to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, just kind of the tip of the iceberg, while the deeper entries on the iceberg are supposed to be more mysterious and obscure pieces of information relating to Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Is this kind of ridiculous? Yeah, but we're gonna try and identify and define all the entries on the Diary of a Wimpy Kid iceberg. The Cheese Touch. According to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid wiki, the Cheese Touch is the central antagonistic force of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. The lore behind the Cheese Touch begins at the start of the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid book, where it is revealed that there is a moldy piece of cheese on the basketball court at Westmore, and if you are to touch the cheese on the basketball court, you would contract the Cheese Touch. The only way to get rid of the Cheese Touch is to pass it on to someone else by touching them. This leads to holders of the Cheese Touch becoming social outcasts, as people would try to avoid them in an attempt to not have the Cheese Touch passed on to them. Diary of an Awesome Friendly Kid. Diary of an Awesome Friendly Kid is a spin-off of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, and as where the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books are told from the perspective of Greg, the Diary of an Awesome Friendly Kid are told from the perspective of Rowley. The whole book series is Rowley basically writing a biography of Greg from his perspective. Zoo-Wee Mama. Zoo-Wee Mama is a comic that first appears in the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. The comic is created by Greg and Rowley, and the whole idea behind the comic is that there will be a build-up to a joke, and then the punchline will just be a guy saying Zoo-Wee Mama. Disney Plus series. On December 10th, 2020, Disney announced that they would be working on a new movie adaptation of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Unlike the previous Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies that were live action though, this adaptation would be animated, which honestly, why wasn't it this way from the start? It's slated for a 2021 release on Disney Plus, but no official release date has been made. Movies. What? I think this is just literally talking about, like, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies and how they exist. The long haul movie hate. Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul is the fourth movie in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, and generally people don't like it. They changed a lot of the actors from the older movies, and a lot of people just did not like that. Not to mention the movie just kind of sucks in general. Like the other Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, you can kind of like enjoy them in like a weird, ironic kind of way. But I guess with this movie, people just think it legit just kind of sucks. I don't know. Merchandise. I think this entry on the iceberg is literally just referring to Diary of a Wimpy Kid merchandise. You know, with the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series selling over 250 million copies, of course there's gonna be merchandise to go along with it. You know, some of it's pretty normal stuff, pretty run-of-the-mill, but there's also some weirder stuff that just doesn't work or really make sense. Yeah, I don't... r/loaded diaper. r/loaded diaper is a Reddit community centered around the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. There's quite a lot going on with it. One of the most popular things on this subreddit is people posting their Diary of a Wimpy Kid fanfiction things. And of course, you know, a lot of these are ironic, but as far as I can tell, there are also people that post fanfictions and take their fanfictions pretty seriously. Beyond fanfictions though, r/loaded diaper is kind of just a gathering place for the Diary of a Wimpy Kid community, if that's what you want to call it. You know, it's Reddit, so, you know. Ploopy. Ploopy is a word Manny makes up in the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. Manny calls Greg a ploopy after he loses his tingy to make Greg mad. McDonald's books. A Diary of a Wimpy Kid Happy Meal promotion was done in the UK from September to October in 2016. Basically, with your meal, you could receive one of 8 small Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. They're really short, they're not like legit full-length books, obviously, but in recent years they've become a little bit of a collector's item, I guess. Manny hate. I think this entry on the list is referring to how, among Diary of a Wimpy Kid fans, Manny is not a particularly well-liked character. There is a thriving community of Diary of a Wimpy Kid fans that just despise Manny. There is a subreddit with 40,000 members called Fuck Manny that is effectively dedicated to how much people hate Manny. So, why do these people hate Manny so much? I don't know. Greg, I'm not gay. I'm not gay, Greg is referring to a Diary of a Wimpy Kid fanfiction called Diary of a Wimpy Kid 25 Years Later that gained quite a bit of notoriety. The fanfiction is about Greg's life 25 years after the events of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, where it's pretty much revealed that Greg's family is completely dysfunctional. Greg has a dead-end office job, Manny has moved to New York and been disowned by his family, Greg's dad is battling cancer, and Rowley has moved to Boston. It's also revealed that Greg is gay and likes Rowley. And so in the fanfiction, Greg tries to meet up with Rowley in Boston to see if he's into it or not, and on arrival, Rowley says, "I'm not gay, Greg. Hashtag not my Roderick." In the first 3 Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, Roderick is played by an actor by the name of Devin Bostick, but in the 4th Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie, The Long Haul, the actor for Roderick was switched from Devin Bostick to Charlie Wright, and a lot of people were not happy about it. The writers for the movie said that the switch in actor was because the old actor for Roderick had outgrown his role, so they had to cast someone new. But still a lot of people were not happy about the switch. This hatred for the new actor for Roderick spawned a pretty popular thing on Twitter called #NotMyRoderick, where people would just effectively use the hashtag to complain about how terrible the new actor for Roderick was. Pop Tropica. Pop Tropica was a pretty popular online RPG flash game, and it's another one of the creations of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid author, Jeff Kinney. It was this exploration sandbox type game, and the reason I think it's on this list is because there were 2 Diary of a Wimpy Kid themed island levels. Scottish translation. Scots is a fairly popular dialect of English that is spoken in much of Scotland. Scots looks pretty weird to a lot of English speakers because it's very familiar to English, but it has some weird quirks. I'll give you an example of a sentence that's in English, and then a translation of it in Scots.
The children caught some insects in the garden.
The bairns caught some beasties in the garden.
So it's like English, but it's not quite, and there is an official Scots translation of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and it's pretty incredible. This is what the first sentence of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid book looks like in English, and this is what it looks like in Scots. The pig appeared in Wrecking Ball. The pig is a character that was introduced in Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul after Manny wins it at a fair, and the pig would continually make appearances in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books up until Diary of a Wimpy Kid Meltdown. In Meltdown, Greg's dad sends the pig to obedience school, but it is then revealed that the pig escaped obedience school and the Heffley family loses the pig. At this point, it seems like this is the end of the pig for the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, but it was recently discovered that the pig does make a small cameo appearance in Diary of a Wimpy Kid Wrecking Ball. In Diary of a Wimpy Kid Wrecking Ball, the pig can be just barely spotted in Manny's toy pile when he jumps out the window. This has led many Diary of a Wimpy Kid connoisseurs to theorize that the pig never went missing in the first place, but instead Manny has been secretly taking care of the pig without the family's knowing. Diary of a Wimpy Kid was originally a webcomic. According to most documentation, Jeff Kinney has been working on and writing about Greg Heffley since 1998. But in 2004, he started uploading Diary of a Wimpy Kid comics to funbrain.com, and it would pretty much be the launching point for the Diary of a Wimpy Kid franchise. Yusuf Ali'nin Majahalar. This entry on the list just translates to Yusuf Ali's Adventures, and it's basically just a Turkish ripoff of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The book series doesn't really even try and hide it at all, it's literally just what it is. It follows an incredibly similar story structure to Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and it has very similar character dynamics. It's just effectively Turkish Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Igdoof. Jeff Kinney, the creator of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, went to the University of Maryland, and Igdoof was a comic that Jeff Kinney made for the University of Maryland's campus newspaper. Apparently, it was super popular on the college campus. However, according to most sources, when Jeff Kinney left the University of Maryland and tried to get his comic into newspapers and get published, he would just continuously get rejected. No one wanted the Igdoof comic, and because of that, he ended up moving on to Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Not a whole lot is known about the Igdoof comic itself, due to the fact that much of the comic has been lost to time. In fact, the Igdoof comic is usually considered to be a piece of lost media. But from what little documentation there is of the Igdoof comic was about a character by the name of Igdoof, and it was very similar to Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It reflects many of the same ideas and themes as Diary of a Wimpy Kid. In fact, some of the characters are literally just Diary of a Wimpy Kid characters. Like, you might be thinking, wow, Igdoof kind of looks like a grown-up version of Manny. Well, in the comic, Igdoof's little brother literally is just Manny. Not to mention, this character looks a lot like Greg, and this character from one of the Igdoof comics is also in Diary of a Wimpy Kid Do-It-Yourself book. Cancelled Cabin Fever special. In December 2012, Jeff Kinney announced that there was work being done on an animated adaptation of Diary of a Wimpy Kid Cabin Fever that was slated to be aired around Christmas 2013. In August 2013, though, Kinney stated that it would be a half-an-hour television special and it would be pushed back to be aired on Fox in late 2014. Well, 2014 kind of came and went, and the movie never happened. It's probably possible, though, that work that had been done on this animated adaptation of Cabin Fever is probably going into the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie that Disney's working on. Greg is a sociopath. Greg is a sociopath is basically a fan theory that, well, Greg is a sociopath. According to the Oxford Dictionary, a sociopath is a person with a personality disorder manifesting itself in extreme antisocial attitudes and behaviors and a lack of conscience. And a lot of people think that Greg Heffley can be described as a sociopath. People often cite Greg's grandiose sense of self, his constant manipulation of his best friend Rowley, his constant ability to convince himself that his lies are true, his complete lack of empathy, and how he barely ever seems to feel guilt or remorse. Many people believe that Diary of a Wimpy Kid is not the diary of your average teenage kid, but instead the sociopathic ramblings of a mentally ill soul. The Manny Will Not Be Televised. The Manny Will Not Be Televised is referring to how somehow amidst the recent BLM movement and push for police reform, somehow Manny became a symbol associated with like ACAB and police reform. It's super weird and confusing. No one is entirely sure exactly how it came to fruition and why it's a thing and how it's a thing. One of the earliest appearances of Manny being associated with this pro-BLM thing is from a TikTok video made by The Manny Spotted in early June. In this TikTok, which now has around like 2 million views, a guy draws a picture of Manny on the ground with chalk, accompanied by this commentary.
The Manny will not be televised, man.
The Manny will not be televised.
Look, pissed off the Manny. Look how mad he is. He's tired of police brutality. He's tired of American imperialism. That man, he's tired of curfews too.
This video has around 2 million views, so it gained quite a bit of traction, and I think this is kind of where this thing spread from. Like after this, you could start seeing like pictures of like Manny graffiti combined with phrases such as 12 or revolt or BLM or ACAB, just like spray painted on random walls and stuff. There's a couple theories as to how this happened and why it keeps happening. A post has been shared around by many supporters of the Manny that tries to explain the whole situation, and the post looks a little something like this. The Manny is not a radicalized hate symbol. It started as a joke, but it's come together as a symbol of like-minded people who seek change. It's something to bring a smile amidst a serious movement while still supporting the sentiment of the people. In World War II, Kilroy was used by soldiers to build morale in their fight against totalitarianism, and we seek to do the same. Keep protesting, keep donating, keep sharing, keep signing, and keep throwing up the Manny. Another theory I've seen thrown around though about the Manny Will Not Be Televised situation is that people were purposely associating BLM and ACAB with Manny in an attempt to bait certain groups into labeling Manny as a symbol of violence. I mean, their thinking being that, well, if certain groups of people are going to start labeling BLM or ACAB as violent groups, can we, by extension, bait them into labeling Manny as a symbol of violence, mainly because it would just look ridiculous, I guess. It's crazy though, because there's a change.org petition with over 1 million signatures that's pushing to change the American flag and national anthem to something that more reflects the values of the Black Lives Matter movement. And you know what the flag looks like? It looks like this. Now, I mean, of course, probably a lot of people signed this petition ironically, because, well, but I also imagine that there was a solid amount of people who looked at this flag and looked at Manny and went, yeah, Manny is the symbol of my values. He reflects my values. I am now going to sign this petition because it's trying to change the flag to something that reflects my values. I'm not sure if this situation is a good thing or a bad thing or both or neither, but it's pretty crazy that this can just, like, happen. Anyway, if you like what you saw, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching.